over the weekend, former President Donald Trump has called for massive protests in the event that he is indicted by the by the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. In fact, in a Truth Social post on Saturday, he says that he expected to be arrested on Tuesday over hush money payments made in 2016 to Stormy Daniels. I think that's very unlikely, but he then told followers to, quote, protest, take our nation back. Now, the response from that, or I should say, the response to that from allies of the former president, happens to be a bit of a collective. So let me get into the details. You have Republicans in Congress that are, again, allies of the former president that are saying, actually, no, don't protest. For God's sakes, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you, don't do it.
One of them, Marjorie Greene. In fact, here's what she wrote. We don't need to protest about the communists, Democrats planning to arrest President Trump and the political weaponization of our government and election interference. These idiots are sealing their own fate in 2024 because the silent majority has two feelings right now about the current regime. Yes, they have feelings. Many feelings. In fact, we always tend to be, told about their feelings. In fact, we hear about nothing but their feelings. Okay. It gets kind of annoying when they, again, are only talking about their feelings 100% of the time. Well, all right. So anyway, funny enough, speaking of weaponization, the weaponization committee, the Republican committee that was set up to find weaponization of the government towards specifically Donald Trump. What did they find? Well, this committee that's headed up by Jim Jordan literally found no evidence of weaponization of the government against Trump. These are people that are incredibly motivated to find any evidence of weaponization. If this was weaponization, you think they would have found it? Think they would have reported on it by now and found evidence of it by now. So what happened? Oh, they didn't. That's because there's a look. In fact, look. She also said election interference, right? Again, the irony here is the only election interference that happened was Donald Trump literally calling in to pressure people in Georgia, for example, officials in Georgia, to find him votes. Just enough votes to win. Yeah, it turns out that is election interference. Weird how that works out. So now Greene goes back to talking about her feelings and says, most of Mr. Trump's supporters currently are feeling fear and anger. Hey, doesn't that lead to the dark side? I'm just putting that out there. She says, that is the most powerful combination when election time comes. And the Democrats are driving that force with their own corrupt actions. Look, here's the irony, right? So she's basically given away, Republicans' entire strategy that they've been using to win elections. And that is to make people fear fear and anger. I mean, that's essentially the only two emotions that people in the Republican Party are made to feel. And it works. It drives people out to the polls. Look, Trump's campaign, by the way, was Make America Great Again. Now, look, you could say, oh, well, that's, Ronald Reagan, of course. It's a play on his Make America Great. Okay, how do we make America great? Obviously, we should give people like some sort of hope, right? That would be a campaign. No, his campaign was basically those two things, fear and anger. He railed against Democrats, immigrants, the establishment, and put out nothing positive. his big legislative push was to build a wall to keep out the dangerous, scary Mexicans. So fear and anger, that's what they have. And so that's what they do. And so she gives away the game. I think it's very, very, very transparent. And also admitting that, yeah, those two feelings, yeah, they are the most powerful combination when it comes to our party in elections. Now, I don't disagree with the idea that emotions like that are significant when it comes to elections. It's a big driving factor, right, in turnout. The right response to fear and anger, as I mentioned. Now, the left does something interesting. So the left actually tends to respond more to hope. That's why, a lot of us, at least, speaking for myself, hope and change, right? No, unfortunately, we did not get hope and change, but we voted for hope and change. And so there, and again, when you're looking at the Bernie Sanders campaign, for example, why he did so well, unfortunately, ultimately fell short, but he was giving people a lot of hope. Hey, these are the issues that are facing Americans. Here's what I want to do to fix those issues, and we're going to stay on the issues, and we are going to talk about hope. Again, unfortunately, that didn't quite work out. That said, the left, I think, generally does respond more to a hopeful message than a be afraid message. Although, to be fair, it gets a little complicated. It gets a little muddy because, yes, there was lots of fear in 2020 of Trump, winning re-election, and that did drive a lot of people out to the polls. So again, it is a bit complicated, but generally, Republicans tend to go with the fear emotions and the anger. But that's it. An indictment, getting back to the point, an indictment actually, I believe, potentially helps both sides politically. And again, we're just looking at the politics of this, okay? So that said, what wouldn't help Republicans, and it's getting to the point of why Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Republicans are saying don't show up, don't protest, do not listen to Donald Trump, is because another January 6th would look horrible. It would look terrible. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not, in my opinion, a very intelligent person by any means.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
Peachtree dish.
Okay. But look, she is smart enough to know that the optics of Trump supporters basically doing another January 6th to defend Trump from an indictment is going to look real bad. And that's why she's saying this. That's why Kevin McCarthy is out there saying the same thing. Here's his quote. "I don't think people should protest this stuff." But then added the former president was not speaking in a harmful way when he said to go out there and protest and take back the nation, but was telling his followers to, quote, educate people about what's going on. Really, Kevin McCarthy? That is quite a stretch. Oh, no, just go out there and educate people about what's going on. Yes, that's what I want you to do. Yes. No, look, Kevin McCarthy's going out there, and as well as Marjorie Greene and others, they're afraid of what MAGA chuds could do. And I'm not saying they would all do it, but they're afraid of somebody doing something, going in and doing a violent protest. Because what the right wing needs here, and especially in this situation, is to have the optics of victimhood. Oh no, we're all peaceful protesters, all of us, 100%. And we're here, we're protesting Donald Trump being the victim of a political witch hunt, and you are the aggressors, and we are not. Donald Trump is perfectly innocent and is a complete and utter angel. He's never done anything wrong in his life. And see, look at how peaceful we are. So look, January 6th, even a lot of Republicans were like, wow, that's pretty messed up. no, we're not at all interested in that. And something like that happen, that looks really, really bad for us. And of course, later on, they were, that opinion kind of shifted as, Tucker Carlson and people like that were trying to, basically blame the feds and the riots and all that stuff for doing January 6th. But, and that's because, and they spent all that effort because it looked really, really bad for Trump and the MAGA movement. So again, what they need is the optimization, the optics of victimization. And that's why the main talking point that's coming out is the weaponization of, the law, the government against Trump, and that he is the ultimate victim. In fact, look, Marjorie Greene also on Saturday called this, accused the Biden Department of Justice for coordinating with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to go after Trump for a political agenda. She even suggested defunding the DOJ. So, I mean, that's what she's trying to do, okay? So, using the power of government to try to dismantle law enforcement, by the way, only when this law enforcement may go after Donald Trump for other things, because as far as I know, the DOJ is not involved in what the Manhattan DA is doing. Nonetheless, she wants to go after them, mainly. Do that, but Trump, MAGA supporters, the thing that will ruin us the most is if we have another January 6th. But don't do it. Don't do it. That's going to make us look bad. Now, look, I don't know if there's going to be violence. I hope not. But there's a lot of people that are very concerned that this could lead to possible violence. That said, everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop. We don't know what's going to happen, but basically all eyes for this week are on Manhattan. I mean, prepare for impact, right? Brace for impact.